Okay, guys. So I just wanted to do a quick. It's going to be a quick lesson on unit rate and the value of a ratio. Okay, the value of a ratio. You're going to see the value of a ratio in lesson 7. So you're going to need to know this because yesterday in the lesson, I talked about the unit rate is a fraction with the denominator as 1. Okay? Which is different, a little bit different than the value of the ratio. Is a ratio flipped into a fraction in simple form. Now, there's just a few differences with these two definitions, and I'm actually just going to make them a little bit bigger because they're the main points here. So we have the unit rate. In the unit rate, I want to give an example. The unit rate are things like so we could say 5 shirts made every hour. Okay, and that would be a unit rate for shirts made. Okay, so that'd be the unit rate for shirts made. The reason we might want to find a unit rate is because we're trying to figure out, okay, well, for 1 hour, how many shirts am I going to make? That would be the rate of shirts made per hour. Okay, and that is a unit rate. Now, the reason I'm bringing these two together is because they're very, very closely related. And the value of the ratio can be expressed in a very similar way. So the value of the ratio, yeah, I do too. The value of the ratio, if it is 5 shirts made for every hour that passes, we can also show the value of the ratio, which is also a unit rate. And it's the unit rate that we've already done, right? So you're probably thinking, well, then what's the difference? Why are these different terms and why are they used differently? And they're not really used that differently. In fact, this might be something just more related to Eureka. Like I'm looking in IXL and I don't really see this, and this is why I tend to use the term unit rate, but to be more correct, all unit rates must have a denominator of 1. If they don't have a denominator of 1, I guess technically they're not a unit rate, but they are just an expression of the value of the ratio. So let me show you what I mean by that. So this would be considered, and we're just going to switch, we're still going to do hours to shirts made. Okay, we're still going to plug in the numbers, but it's going to be in a different order. Okay, so it's now hours to shirts made instead of shirts to hours. So we'll plug in, we have 1 to 5. Okay, and now in order to get the value of the ratio, we just need to, again, just flip this like we did over here. Okay, so let me indicate that that is also an example. And let me make sure that you know that this is unit rate. And so when you flip it on its side, you get 1 over 5. And can 1 over 5 be reduced any more than what it is, or is it already in simple form? Who can tell me? Does it need to be reduced, or is this? Yeah, it's already in simple form. Okay, so nothing left to do. You're good. That is the value of the ratio. Okay. That is the value of the ratio. Now, but what happens if we have, let's just set up the same descriptions here. So we have hours to shirts made, and the hours increase to 3 hours, and the shirts were 15, because what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. We're keeping the same ratio. So then, how do we find the value? How do we find the value of the ratio for this new one? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flip it on its side. And so we're going to have 3 over 15. And does this need to be reduced? Is this simple form?
No.
All right, so how do we make it in simple form? What do we do to make it in simple form, guys? Can anybody tell me?
You have to divide 15 by 3.
So the first thing we do is we divide 15 by 3. What we do to the bottom, what do we have to what?
Do to the
All right, so we do it to the top. What we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 15 divided by 3 is equal to what?
0.2.
15 divided by 3 is equal to what?
It is equal to 5.
5. And then 3 divided by 3 is equal to what?
1.
1. Can we reduce this anymore?
Nope.
Nope. This is the value of the ratio. Okay. Let's look at another one. So,
Good luck. See you tomorrow. Bye. And stay. I'll never trade this at home, okay? Be safe. And remember, I love you.
Well, thank you for that kind message there, Betsy.
What?
I said thank you for that. Oh. Well, who was she talking to?
No, she likes playing like that by herself.
Oh, well, that's nice. It sounded like you were saying that to us. I was like, well, that's very kind of Betsy.
Very wholesome.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so let's go. Let's say the ratio of hours spent to work completed. So for every 2 hours spent, there were 6 assignments completed. What is the value of that ratio? Go ahead and use your whiteboard to solve for the value of the ratio. So what is the value of the ratio? You can go ahead. You should have flipped it on its side. And then you should have just been like, okay, I got 2 over 6. And I know 2 over 6 is not simple form. So I can reduce by first figuring out that I want to get at least the numerator to 1. So I can divide it by 2 to get to 1. What I do to the top, I have to
Do to the bottom.
do to the bottom. And I get 1/3. So the value of the ratio is 1/3. Not too hard, right?
No.
The value of the ratio, there's not going to be a ton of questions on it, but they will want you to know how to solve for the value of the ratio, okay? And so that's especially going to be important on on lesson 7.